Hey there guys, how's it going? So you may have seen my video the other day where I went ahead and pulled for KA17. Essentially at the very start of that, I was like, the notice was wrong when the update first came out. It said single target medal, which it wasn't. What the notice is basically saying is that KA17 is a single target medal, an upright magic version of Axial Prime, which had come out, a week before or whatever, which was incorrect. KH17, when it was released, was an all target medal that had a slightly different effect. It cost less gauges, but also didn't restore 3, and it acted as like a all target medal where there were lots of targets on the field, and a single target medal when there was only one left. In my opinion, it got sort of a buff, but the point is the people that pulled for it, wanting a single target medal, for Proud Mode, where it really specifically locks you into, okay, if it wants a single target medal, that's all you can bring in. There is an argument that people were misled here, right? So what happens? Well, they just put out a tweet, so Kingdom Hearts Unicross has put out a tweet a little while ago, essentially saying that, you guys can't see that, that, I don't want to read the entire thing, but essentially compensation will be handed out to affected players. Details will be sent out through an in-game notice and here on Twitter tonight. So what that essentially means is, keep an eye on Twitter, keep an eye on the notices, because we may be getting some compensation. Best case scenario, absolute best case scenario, they might say, okay, anyone that is pulled on this banner before time X or time Y will get all their pulls refunded. Absolute best case scenario. Best. That's probably not going to happen because that could be a shite load of people and a ton of jewels. But it has happened in the past once before and only in the Japanese version. So, I may as well explain that real quick. I think in the Japanese version forever ago, I'm talking like over about 11 months ago, and I think Lightkeeper L made a video on this. There was an illustrated Aqua B medal. I think that was a single target medal as well. But the point is there was like a 5,000 jewel pull banner, like 5,000 jewels a piece. And anyone, because the in-game notice was wrong, anyone that pulled on that banner before a certain point got all of their jewels refunded, which means that people just literally dumped every single jewel they had on that banner before the allotted time, and they got them all right back, as well as a ton of new medals. The same thing, fingers crossed, could happen here. Could. I believe the same thing happened like a week later in the Japanese version as well, where like the gem banners were listed incorrectly, so anyone that did a pull on those gem banners got all their jewels back as well. But anyway, the point is, we might get some jewels back off our KH17 banner. What makes me think that? Well, okay, they say the affected players in the notice, right? Well, what do the affected players mean? You could make the argument that it's more than just the people that pulled on it before the notice was corrected. Let's have a look here, okay? So the notice was corrected at 1:20 AM Pacific time, which it was 18 minutes after the reset happened. So for me, the reset happens at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So by 4:20 in the afternoon, it was corrected. So only an 80-minute window, pretty short amount of time. But here's the thing. The edited is only listed right here, okay? And all they did was change it from single target, which you can see in my screenshot there, to all target, which you can see here is the actual notice. It sort of lines up pretty well. Anyway, this is what it looks like right now. I'm literally looking at the notices right now on my computer. So if we go ahead and look at that, the only thing it says here is edited up right here. If we go ahead and look at the notices page itself, usually edited pops up. You can see edited pops up right there, but they didn't put edited anywhere on this medal, on this notice when they went ahead and changed it. You can make the argument that anyone that opened up the app between reset and when the time it was corrected, read, went all the way down to the bottom, saw that it was a single target, had in their head from that point onwards, okay, it's a single target. And even if they didn't do pulls during those first 80 minutes, they could have done pulls afterwards, but they would have had no reason to go back and check and say, okay, well, I didn't know it wasn't a single target medal, and therefore I believe I'm affected by this as well. I'm not saying that's going to happen, and I don't think in the North American, well, the global version of the game's history of error refunding, they've never been quite as generous as that, the 1 or 2 times they were in the Japanese version. But you can make the case that a lot more people were affected than just the people that pulled during those 80 minutes. For anyone that pulled during those 80 minutes, and I wish I got my damn video out sooner. If I'd been more organized, I would have. I think I was like a few minutes, well, probably half an hour or so late. But if I'd been a bit more organized, I would have been like definitely in that 80-minute window, and I could have done a test for you guys, basically. I'm looking, well, realistically what I think is going to happen is the people that did pulls during those 80 minutes may get 1, 2 maybe pulls refunded, or maybe not. Maybe you'll get 1,500 jewels back in their present box. Maybe they'll get Mickey and Brooms or like trait medals or something. Who knows? Because it's not like it's a huge deal. Again, people that pulled for the medal wanting proud mode, a single target medal for proud mode, are like the only ones that are going to be affected, because again, it acts as a single target medal most of the time. Sorry, a single target medal when there's only one medal left, one enemy left. Therefore, it effectively acts as a single target medal. Well, unless, you know, there's an error and there's actually an event. Anyway, and it acts as an all target medal other times. Effectively, it's better than a single target medal because of those reasons. But the point is, they still made an error. They still misled people. So compensation, they're obviously going to hand out compensation for that. I'm hoping it's going to be good. I'm hoping we're all going to get free pulls. Probably not, though. More realistically, just the people that pulled maybe on the first day or the first 80 minutes will get refunded in some way, probably a small way, maybe only like one pull refunded. Fingers crossed, all the pulls refunded. Again, fingers crossed, that'd be great. If that is the case, and massive best case scenario, if they go ahead and put out a tweet that says anyone that pulled before, you know, the end of reset today gets all their pulls refunded, then we all need to pull, like, dump every single jewel that we have. Again, that's a huge if, and we have to read the notice and read the Twitter update very, very, very carefully if that's the case. But it could happen. It could be the first time it happens in the global version. I'm hoping it will be. That'd be really, really sweet. It's happened like once in the global version where we did get a refund. There was like an illustrated Kari banner, and it was over a year ago. I made it. It's one of the first videos that I made on YouTube, talking about you need to pull right now, because if you do one pull on this 1500 jewel banner, you'll get it back on reset today. That was like the only time that's happened. Every other time it's happened, there's been like smaller compensation in some way of, like, you know, brooms or, I don't know, SIDS or other worthless medals. But hopefully this will be the first time we get some jewels back. Anyway, I'm rambling on about this. We don't even know for sure yet. It's a speculation at this point. But if, you know, people are asleep, and that's the bad thing as well, though, because the tweet comes out and then 4 hours later the reset happens. So there are plenty of people that might be asleep during that time, or you know, at work, or just in any way unable to play. So if you know anyone that may be affected by this, or best case scenario, if anyone gets, you know, free pulls on it, well, not free pulls, but pulls that will be refunded by the end of the day, maybe just send them a message, say, hey, keep your eye on the notices tonight. Maybe even set an alarm and wake up if you are likely to be asleep during that time. I don't know, just let your friends know. Definitely let your friends know. Anyway, it's way too late for me to be making videos. I'm rambling, so I'm sorry about that. Anyway, guys, all the best. I'll catch you later. Fingers crossed for good luck and free pulls, and I'll see you soon. All the best. Bye.